To this. All right. So I have with me Becky Tuch of Lit Mag News, who's been so patient with me as I have rain checked twice due to car issues and now technical issues. So very glad that you've been um, so collaborative and generous with your time with me. And I felt really honored and privileged to share a conversation with you in January, where it was kind of flipped, and you were asking me some about Quibble for your publication. Um, and as I started this live stream project that's gone perfectly off the ground, I thought you'd be an obvious first host or first guest to invite into the space to kind of talk about some of your experience in the writing world in general, but also starting this project and kind of emerging beyond the text, and opening up a platform and space for other people too. So if somebody's never heard of Lit Mag News, do you have like a one sentence spiel or treatise for it?
Sure, and I will say quickly, and this is not you, a lot of people get it wrong, but my last name is Tuck.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Dr. Shirt. It's all my life people have said it wrong. So no worries, just for your audience.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
So yeah, sure. So Lit Mag News, it's a Substack newsletter that I started in 2020. It's sort of an outgrowth. I had a resource dedicated to literary magazines for about 10 years called the Review, that started in 2008 and that ended in 2019. And then I sort of thought I was done with all these side projects, and it turned out I wasn't. And in 2020, I launched I launched Lit Mag News, which is a newsletter. And we have a bunch of articles on the site, and it does a lot more than just the newsletter, but that's one feature of it that provides a roundup of news all about literary magazines. So it's basically dedicated to demystifying the world of literary magazines for writers. So there's a bi-weekly newsletter with just like news of what's going on. There's a weekend discussion component. There are guest columns written by writers and editors. Basically, if you're looking to get more information about how to break into literary magazines, how to sustain your motivation and your inspiration to try to publish in literary magazines, anything related to literary magazines, that is the place to get your information and to connect with other people.
Yeah, I've been really the like breadth and subjects that you've been able to like kind of keep fresh every week have been really exciting to see and very like the demystifying and the relation humanizing of it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of parts I feel like in this world that go like things that go not said out loud or because we're experiencing them in like a vacuum by ourselves. It's
Mhm.
um nice to have that realized and shared and be like,
Yeah.
I had some questions in looking through some of these guidelines before and like giving the tools for people to check on it or even just creating like a source in the ecosystem of like accountability, I think is a good
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a very strange ecosystem. What you mentioned lit or review. And was there any editorial experience or project before that, or was that kind of um you said a side project? So
Yeah, I mean that was I didn't really have any editorial experience. I just sort of recognized that there felt to me like a vacuum when it came to information about literary magazines for writers. Like there's really like you
hmm
had to go to a conference, you had to talk to more experienced writers, you had to have like a mentor who's a professor. But if you were just sort of like a new writer, you're trying to break in, literary magazines are important. There to me didn't seem like there was much out there to give like very detailed and honest,
hmm
thorough information. So I didn't really have much experience, but I just launched the site and
Yeah.
and did it.
I can relate. That's definitely how like
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of initiatives or projects got to get off the ground is
Hmm.
let me just try this and see.
Right, right.
And you're right, there's like not a lot of that like connective tissue or like I studied English at VCU and graduated in 2016, and the whole
Mhm.
time I was at school had the awareness of lit mags being important, even worked on my
Yeah.
university publication a little bit, but it was kind of a why or to what then. So, and people definitely have made it work and being able to build an audience or develop their projects as they've gotten out there. Um, well, I also liked your point about that it was supposed to be over. Was there like an inciting incident for the Lit Mag news coming about on Substack? Or was it just kind of oh, I could remodel this and do it
Mhm.
better now, maybe with some of the newer tools as the like landscape?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I guess I felt like I was done and I really wanted to focus on my writing. And then in 2020, we were all locked down. My daughter
Yeah.
wasn't going to school in person. There was no social interaction, and I was really craving that kind of connection.
Hmm.
And then I just somehow learned about Substack. Like one of my favorite journalists, I think, was started on Substack, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I had not heard of it. And it was
Hmm.
just the newsletter. When I was doing the review, I had a newsletter feature, and that really took off and became really popular. And that was something I always enjoyed doing. So I thought, like, what if I just do the newsletter? And I don't maintain a database because the review had like 1,000 literary magazines that were listed, and I was constantly updating them. I was like, what if I don't have like a database? It's not that kind of resource. It has more personality, it's more fun and engaging and conversational, and I can just do the newsletter. So yeah, so it was partly like my own desire for connection. And then you're right, it was partly this kind of new technology that came like Substack. It wasn't necessarily new technology, but it was new to me at the time that it was just like this newsletter service that could directly connect with people.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I started it up again, and it's been great.
Yeah, that like changing landscape part of it is definitely
Hmm.
something I find really interesting and yeah, just it keeps getting my attention of you know, how do writers adapt to a TikTok world?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to go into like a short form 60-minute second reels, but when
Mhm.
everybody's doing it, it's also how you get out there. So, but yeah, the interviews that you've done, I mean, I think that you've managed to be like very wide-ranging and
Mm.
very accessible, I guess is the word I'm going to. Like has there been any like outlier lit mag mission that's just kind of stood out to you as incredibly niche or I imagine you're very versed in that there's maybe a lot in the Venn diagram in the middle for some of these, but what's one of maybe your wildest interview experiences?
I don't think there have been too many outliers. I think they're all, I mean, I think some editors are more talkative, some are more introverted, which is what you would expect from lit mag editors.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of like their mission, in terms of how they evaluate submissions, I mean, I think the interesting ones are like the one person lit mags
Hmm.
and the one person projects, which are very different from the university based projects, which are where you have like a team of students evaluating submissions. But and yeah, nothing has really stood out like, wow, that lit mag is
Fair enough.
really like in
Yeah.
its own category.
I
I
didn't
think they're pretty kind of united in their mission and their focus and like worldview. There's some differences, which is great, which is why I like to do the work and try to highlight those differences for people. But I think overall they're pretty similar.
fair enough. Yeah, realized wild was probably not the best word choice, so I
That'd
wasn't
be
trying
great. I mean, I would love
to.
to interview an editor, just be like, wow, that I was not expecting that, but
Well,
it hasn't quite happened yet.
well, and it might be a recency bias thing. It's not even that wild, but I just like, for example, was looking at a Scrivener review that they do all of their submissions acceptances. They want handwritten version from the author, and
Mm,
I appreciate that there's kind of those like eccentric
mhm.
visionaries in this field that can be hyper specific.
Interesting. Is
But
that in response to AI?
um that's a good question. I think with Scrivener, it might have been just kind of aligned with the, I don't know, vision or values or brand kind of.
Okay.
But that's a good question. I still was going to dig through their submission guidelines a little closer on the stream. But anyways, the yeah, and the one mission part of it is interesting. Kind of connects to something was about to leave behind, but like the like changing nature of um how publishing has traditionally been. I don't want to say that the bar has been held high because of how distribution has basically been very physical and very limited by market forces, where the internet's kind of allowed a lot of people to emerge with their own platforms and develop audiences. So it's kind of this wild, wild west of like nobody, you can make up your own rules,
Right, right.
somewhat, there's still a standard and like that people are, looking for, but it's been a really interesting m- lesson in my own life with Quibble of just kind of like just go for it, because it's not like how it used to be, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, for interview purposes, just have maybe one or two more questions. I know you were patient with me with the timing of this, but um, if you were to make a suggestion to somebody, to your point of literary mags being um, oblique or maybe not readily recognizable by somebody who's never submitted to one. What would be your honest good piece of advice of a place to start with submissions?
I mean, to someone who's brand new and never submitted, I would say, first of all, be patient with yourself because it takes a long time to sort of
Mhm,
get to know the market and the landscape. And I mean, there are literally thousands of literary magazines. So if you're new to submitting, you can easily feel daunted and overwhelmed and like you have no idea what the difference is between Colorado Review and Kenyan Review and like, does it matter and why does it matter? So I would say a good place to start if you're brand new is to actually read calls for submissions. So there's a Facebook group that has calls for submissions. Poets and Writers has calls for submissions. New Pages there. If you actually go on Substack, like just
mhm,
substack.com, and you do a search for calls for submissions and literary magazines, you will find so many resources.
mhm,
And I would just start there because those are places that are actively looking for submissions. And even like on social media, on Facebook, on X, like just do a
mhm,
search for calls for submissions, literary magazines. And those are places that are hungry and they're more likely to read submissions quickly. And I think you have a better chance of breaking into them. So
mhm,
that's where I started, and I didn't even like know like I mean, this when I first started submitting to literary magazines, most of it was in print. So it was kind of harder to
mhm.
see the magazine. You couldn't just go online and look at back issues. Like you had to
Right.
do one more. So a lot of times I didn't even know like what I was submitting, it was kind of a crapshoot. And that's how you learn though, and then
Mhm,
along the way, you pick up issues, you enter contests, you may get like subscriptions from entering contests, and you sort of like gradually build your kind of repertoire of lit mags and your like bank of knowledge about lit mags. But that's where I would start if you're brand new, is like with calls for submissions.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And I'm sure somebody needs to hear that or will appreciate. Be patient with yourself is
Yeah,
is
for
always
sure.
good to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a lot to take in at first. And
Mm,
Substack's a really good fresh
yeah.
source, you know. Like
Mm,
I wish I had when I started Quibble, I knew I needed to announce it or have it out there, and I wish I had known about Substack at that point rather than just the main line of Instagram and
yeah,
Twitter and
yeah.
that kind of thing. Well, great. Yeah, I think that's wonderful advice for somebody, for everybody, of all levels. But um, I guess I got one other question, and it might be a little repetitive, but just on like a personal habit for your writing note, has
Mm,
there been anything for you that's worked really well for like showing up and maybe like finding a pattern of sending out work?
mm. For showing up for the writing or the
Yeah, showing up to
editing?
the desk, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, some things it's hard to measure if something's working. I don't know, like always what the best metric for that is, but I guess
Hmm.
if you still feel inspired to keep doing it, then you know that you're doing the right thing and you're
Hmm.
growing and you're publishing in more competitive markets and but for me, I've just always like been a big fan of the morning pages, which
Hmm.
Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist's Way. It's just you get up first thing in the morning, you have your coffee, your tea, whatever, and you just write for 3 pages, like uncensored,
Mm.
unfiltered, and you just write what's on your mind. And that I love that. That's like, yeah, that's pretty
That's
sacred time to me. Yeah. And I think that's
yeah.
helped sort of allow me to write for Lit Mag News because if you're writing for Substack, it demands like a pretty prolific output. And I think just
Hmm.
having that kind of ease with writing has allowed that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I do my one page in the morning, but maybe
Some people don't. I mean, I've
yeah.
also heard from people that the morning pages can be like kind of a waste of time or it can tire you out before, so it all
Hmm.
depends. But I think, and not everybody writes every day. So I'm sort of
Right.
reluctant to, like, I would not want to give advice without knowing any writer's particular goals and situation. But
Hmm.
for me, that's like a favorite way to kind of start the writing day.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Mm,
And really helps sharpen too, because I want to like I'm personally very interested in like behavioral design and trying to,
mm,
make sure I don't avoid the things that I know I should be doing.
mm,
So, I'm always working on it, and I think that um, just seeing how other people might have different processes or
mm.
what works for them might work for you as well. So thank you. That's very helpful. Well, I don't know. Do you have any questions for me? Or
Well, I will direct people to my interview with you.
yes, yeah. And anything else you'd like to plug besides Lit Mag News or I
No, I'd say just go, Lit Mag News, become a subscriber. They're free and also a paid subscription gets you like a lot more benefits. But
Mhm.
definitely, start out as a free subscriber and it's a great community. So I hope everyone will join it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely eager to plug it as a source because it's been for myself probably the best thing and just
Mm,
getting the wide survey and kind of a journalistic sense too, rather than a
mhm.
self-promoting for editor submission purposes sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Becky. I really
Thanks, Garrett.
appreciate it, and
Mhm.
I will get this video over to you shortly as well.
Great. Okay, thanks. Take
Yeah,
care.
you
Bye.
as well. Take care.